You're watching CBS Sports HQ. 2 of the 4 spots in the Wimbledon semis have been booked in both the men's and women's championship. Always exciting, a lot going on, a lot to take in. So it is time now for our Wimbledon update live from London, coming to you right now. So for that, let's welcome in Brad Gilbert, who had a front row seat to all of the action. And we have to start with the betting favorite in Carlos Alcaraz. So Cam Norrie has been playing the best tennis as of late, but the 2-time defending champ cruised right past him in straight sets. So has your confidence level, Brad, and Alcaraz been even higher since the start of the tournament after what you saw here?
Have you ever been to a craps table and the stick man, he rakes in all the chips on the 7 out? That's exactly what we saw today from Carlos Alcaraz. He made a statement. He played his best match of the tournament. And Cam Norrie, who had the British crowd and been playing some great tennis, had no answers for Carlos Alcaraz, and he really, really played some outstanding tennis. And I'm really looking forward to this matchup with Taylor Fritz to see what Taylor Fritz can do, because Taylor Fritz played an excellent match, toughing out. I call him Silent K, hatching off 7-6 in the fourth. He had lost twice previously here in the quarters, so into his first semifinals. He is 0-2 head-to-head, but I like the way he's playing, and that's kind of a matchup from the last 5-6 days after all the upsets. That's kind of the matchup I thought we would get, and form has been holding lately after all the upsets early in the tournament.
So I know you mentioned Fritz here and that it's going to be his first semifinal in his career. So how impressed are you with Fritz and what you've seen from him so far?
He had 2 5-setters to start the tournament against 6'8" huge servers, but he's gotten much better the last 3 matches, and he's in a really good position, albeit he's going to have to play a great match against Alcaraz, who's trying to become the first player since Bjorn Borg in the 70s to win the European double, win the French and Wimbledon in back-to-back years. Only the great Bjorn Borg has done that in the Open era, and it's amazing the transition Alcaraz makes so quickly from clay to grass. And oh, by the way, he won Queens 2 weeks ago.
So Fritz is one of 3 Americans that are still alive. Of course, Ben Shelton, Go Gators, the other male. But on the women's side of things, Amanda Anisimova has only lost 2 sets so far. And it's also going to be her first Wimbledon semifinal match. So do you think the lights might be too bright for this young 23-year-old?
Well, she was up 6-1, 5-2 on Paula Jovankova. I call her Scrabble because her name is so difficult. And then she wobbled a little bit, took about 6 match points to get it done. But you know what? Against Sabalenka, who is the overwhelming betting favorite, Amanda is 5-3 head-to-head. She did just lose to her in the French Open, and she's playing with a lot of confidence. I kind of like her chances. I definitely could see upset alert in that match because she does have a winning record against her. But, obviously Sabalenka is a tough ass. But if you'd asked her before the start of the tournament, you're in the semis, playing somebody you got a 5-3 head-to-head against, you say, sign me up.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned you could see an upset there, right? But let's talk more about top-seeded Aryna Sabalenka, because she gave up her first set of Wimbledon today against Sigmund, but then rattled off back-to-back sets, 6-2, 6-4. So was there a moment there during that match where you thought, hey, this is all Sabalenka here?
Well, she's playing a lady that's 37 years old, ranked 104 in the world. Talk about a long shot. But she was pushing Sabalenka. She had her frustrated. Early in the second set, it was 2-all, and she had a look to break Sabalenka's serve, and then at serving 2-3, she inexplicably lost her serve 40-love up, and that's where the match changed. But then she regrouped after a long, comfort break to start the third set, and she was up 3-1 in the third. I'm not sure as much as Sabalenka took it. I think Sigmund kind of lost it. She made a lot of unforced errors in the last 4 games, and I think she got tired. But full credit to Sabalenka. She won ugly and found a way.
Sabalenka, we just saw there 3 semifinals in her past 5 appearances at Wimbledon. Brad, we certainly appreciate it giving us a Wimbledon update from London. Enjoy all the excitement out there and getting a look at the tennis major schedule, of course, with the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and then the U.S. Open. That is coming up. We already had the other ones leading up to Wimbledon here, but the U.S. Open, August 24th through September 7th in New York. That is what we have to look forward to.
And for more, we welcome in CBS Sports tennis analyst Cici Bellis. And Cici, Carlos Alcaraz continues to dominate, cruising past Cameron Norrie in straight sets. Alcaraz is looking to become the 5th men's player ever to win 3 straight Wimbledons. So when you look at how he's playing, how would you describe the current trajectory this 22-year-old is on right now?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible with the year he's had so far. Even today, it's never easy playing a Brad on the grass. Norrie tried to kind of change things up a little bit, especially in the second set, tried to give Alcaraz a different look, was standing a little bit wide on the serve to kind of, get his slice serve even further out there. He tried using some drop shots coming forward, was throwing everything at Alcaraz, got him out of his comfort zone big time, and Alcaraz really just overpowered him, was hitting through him. Norrie's a type of player that normally beats people by being more solid, but not even close to being enough today. Alcaraz overpowered him from the ground, actually had his best serving day of the tournament so far, which was interesting because that's something he was really interested in improving throughout the draw. We've heard in his press conferences, what do you want to improve? What do you want to get better as this tournament goes on? Serve was the biggest thing for him, and it's going to be key for him going forward. I think, Alcaraz is known for raising his game as kind of the tournament goes on, as the stage gets bigger and the pressure grows. And I think that's what, really makes him a champion and gives him, the best chance at the title here. He's the favorite to win the tournament. And, with a level like he brought today, it's not surprising.
Not surprising at all. And to your point, when the challenges get bigger, right, he just rises that much more. Now, Taylor Fritz became the first American to reach the Wimbledon semifinals since John Isner, right, in 2018 after he beat Karen Khachanov in 4 sets. We'll get to his matchup against Alcaraz in a moment, but what stood out to you about how Fritz has performed to this point?
Yeah, today, he started red hot, was serving unbelievably well. In the first 2 sets, actually only dropped 3 points on his serve. And yeah, looks like his body's holding up well. He's played a lot of tennis coming into this. He won 2 warm-up tournaments prior to Wimby, but grass suits his game so well. Kind of hides, where he may be lacking slightly with his movement. It really highlights, his strengths and his serve and his attacking style. His backhand's pretty flat, which also transfers well to the grass. He likes to throw in some slice here and there. But yeah, today, he's never beaten Khachanov in the 2 meetings that they've had prior. So, this was even more of a mental battle than even physical for Fritz to try and kind of get over that hump, especially in a Grand Slam. And, Khachanov got a break early in the 3rd set after kind of the first loose game we had seen from Fritz and ran away with that 3rd set. Honestly, the whole set didn't even really feel like the same match. It was kind of a strange little blip for Fritz there, but he settled down in the 4th, got his first serve percentage back up, played a really solid tiebreak to finish off. And serve is going to be key for him going forward. So I'm happy with the way he served today for sure.
Speaking about going forward, so it's going to be Alcaraz against Fritz in the semis. Fritz is 0-2 in his career against the world's #2 ranked player who's coming off, of course, a French Open title. What are the chances, Cici, Fritz can pull the stunner and upset Alcaraz?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into this. I would say on the grass, I would say this is Fritz's best surface, so he probably has the best chance. Alcaraz is incredibly good on grass as well. We try and compare Alcaraz to other players. We compare him to Sinner. It's very hard to do so because they have different game styles, but Alcaraz is the type of player that can have, the highest highs on tour, but can have some lower lows than someone like a Sinner who's maybe a little bit more consistently good day to day. So it does depend on kind of what Alcaraz shows up. I would say, it's not a high chance that we're going to see an Alcaraz that's out of form, late in a Grand Slam like this. So Fritz is going to have to come up with something really special. He's going to have to stay super aggressive. His first serve percentage has got to be up. And, a key stat for him today was first serve points won. It was up above 81%, and he's got to make that even higher against Alcaraz.
Yeah, and if he has a chance to beat Alcaraz, he has to finish the job when the moment presents itself, because we saw what happened with Jannik Sinner, right, in that French Open. He didn't do it, and then, of course, Alcaraz won in stunning fashion. Now, on the other side of the bracket, we'll see Novak Djokovic against Flavio Cobolli and Jannik Sinner against American Ben Shelton. What are the chances in your mind that we're going to get Sinner versus the Joker in the semis?
Yeah, I think it's a decently high chance. I think Sinner has, definitely the harder matchup out of the two for sure. I think Ben will have to come up with something pretty special to beat Sinner. Out of all their matchups, I think this one might actually favor Shelton the most, being on grass, and Sinner, was down 2-0 and 2 games apiece in his last round, was not playing his best tennis. That was the first time we'd actually kind of seen Sinner really off his game in a long time. So I would say, if Sinner is able to kind of turn it around mentally after that, very interesting kind of matchup against Dimitrov, an interesting outcome, then, I would favor Sinner for sure. But Ben's got a good chance. I would put my money on Sinner overall. And then on the other side, Novak, is playing a young Italian in Cavalli. He's got super live arm, super athletic guy. I just don't think he has enough to beat Novak. Might go like 4 sets, I would say. Cavalli might sneak out a set. But, Novak looked unbelievable against de Minaur. Some of the best tennis we've seen from Novak in a really long time, honestly, in years against de Minaur. So I think if he continues that level, it's going to be an easy win for Novak.
Yeah, Novak, definitely one of the greatest tennis players to ever play, arguably putting his case as the GOAT. Now, on the women's side, Cici, Aryna Sabalenka lost the first set of her match on Tuesday, but bounced back by winning each of the next 2 sets to advance past Laura Siegemund. Sabalenka is the #1 women's player in the world, but has never won Wimbledon. What would it mean for her to get over the hump at the All England Club?
Yeah, I think it would mean everything to her. I know she's got her sights set on this. She had a tricky opponent today in Siegemund, especially on the grass. Siegemund's kind of an all-court player, likes to throw in a lot of junk, a lot of slice, kind of keeps her opponents guessing and plays pretty unpredictable. This was the farthest Siegemund's ever gone at Wimby, so I think she felt some pressure as well. But, Sabalenka weathered the storm. She's not used to playing players who, slice and junk a forehand and make Sabalenka feel uncomfortable to move forward. We saw a ton of unforced errors from Sabalenka. The first set was all Siegemund kind of redlining it, especially with that backhand down the line as well. And then Sabalenka, played a solid second set of tennis, started to kind of get herself fired up. Siegemund kept Sabalenka uncomfortable during the entire match, though. Actually had chances to go 5-3 in the third set. But couldn't do it. I think the pressure of the moment kind of got to her. But, honestly, this is Sabalenka's tournament to lose with all the top seeds being out. So I think pressure could be playing on her a little bit, knowing that, she can see the trophy, she can taste it, it's right there. She's technically got the best chance to win here, obviously. So, I think it's mental for her at this point. If she can kind of turn it around after, not the best performance today, she's looking really strong.
Yeah, that's what they say, right? It's more mental than physical, especially when you get into these later rounds. Now, Amanda Anisimova, right? She beat Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in straight sets. She's the first American woman to reach the Wimbledon semifinals since someone named Serena Williams in 2019. You may have heard of her. What's your reaction, Cici, to the all-American success at this year's Wimbledon?
It's so great. I'm so pumped for Amanda. She deserves this, more than anyone. She played so well today, too. She had a really hot first set. Honestly, she's someone who is so streaky that she can beat anyone when she's having her day, when she's on and kind of feeling the ball. She can take the racket out of anyone's hands. And she's been playing amazing this week and keeping a really high level. She's also been kind of level-headed and mentally been super, super level, which is really key for her. And I think that's the biggest, thing that she's worked on in the last few years is really staying level-headed. And she's been really kind of mature and impressive with that this, last 10 days or so. And, second set, Pavlyuchenkova, kind of started to mix it up, tried to throw Amanda off and show her a different ball, got to a tiebreak, kind of went back and forth. Amanda actually saved 5 set points to come through in the breaker today. So it was definitely a mental battle. We're talking about mental a lot, but as a Grand Slam gets to the business end of things, that's really what it comes down to. So, honestly, she's got her winning record against Sabalenka. So she's one of the only players in the draw that has it, and she's got it. I like her chances if she's on. Sabalenka didn't look great today, like I mentioned, but it's really hard to count someone like a Sabalenka out. I think Amanda's got to, come up with some really good tennis. She's got to go for her shots, but big margins for sure.
Okay, so based on that, how would you evaluate her chances of knocking off the women's #1 ranked player? It seems like you have a good deal of faith that she can pull this off.
She's got a winning record. She's got an 8-5 record against Sabalenka. So we've seen that kind of aggressive style from Anisimova be really lethal for a player like Sabalenka. You're not going to beat Sabalenka if you're, kind of just a consistent grinder that's just getting balls back. You're going to have to go for it, and you're going to have to beat her. And Amanda's one of the few players on tour that, if she's on, she can beat anyone on tour. She can paint lines, and she can hit a winner on every single ball if it's her day. So I'd say it really is, going to come down to what Anisimova shows up. If she's, feeling the ball, if she's connecting, I give her a really solid chance, especially with how Sabalenka looked today, kind of a bit uncomfortable out there.
Yeah, cannot wait to see how it all shakes out. Should be fabulous and spectacular tennis. Cici, we appreciate the time as always. And here's a look at the odds to win Wimbledon on the ladies' side. Sabalenka is the heavy favorite at -145. She's followed by Iga Swiatek and Mir Andreeva.